because Dan Reeves was old school and he was hard as hell.
And you know, I knew him very well when he was Tom Landry's #1
and
assistant.
Tom Landry was hard.
Correct.
So everything that Tom did, Coach Landry was his coach.
Yep.
He assisted under Coach Landry.
And Dan played at South Carolina, and it was old school, tough football.
So he brought that style. Now, in college, you know, you young, you practicing 3 hours, you don't even think anything about it. And maybe once I got to the league, it wasn't that the practice was hard, but I saw the vets complaining. Hell, I thought that's what I should do. These practicing too long. They too hard.
Yep.
But it prepared me for anything that could come. So if you weren't brought up in that system, it's like Coach Coughlin. Guys at Jacksonville, Skip, they got drafted there. That was what they knew. When he went to the Giants, they're like, what the hell is this?
Yep.
Because they had Jim Fossil. Rest your soul, Jim. He was my offensive coordinator, Fossil was.
Yep.
But Skip, look, I believe he's learned his lessons. I believe he's learned from his mistakes. I think he'll be a better coach for it. And I think, you know, he toughened Giannis up some. That everybody's not going to like every coach. There are going to be a lot of players that love Coach Belichick. Coach Belichick got a lot of players some rings, but everybody's not going to like his coaching style. And that's okay.
Okay, I do think, in the end, this is at least a red flag for Luka. If Luka carefully reads this, he's going to be on high alert for has he really mellowed when he gets another shot to coach us and me here? Because I was pretty shocked that Giannis included this much scathing material in his biography. And it was interesting. I'm not sure I've ever seen this before. The biographer went out and interviewed several of the other players on Giannis's teams in 2015, 16, and 17 in Milwaukee as Jason coached to get the more scathing, just disgusting details, because this is the kind of stuff for coaches today that usually get you all but put in jail, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is abusive coaching behavior. But without going into the gory details, it was a Christmas Eve and they'd just blown a game and Jason didn't like their effort or the way they had performed or closed the game. And they were supposed to have Christmas Eve off, and they'd all made plans with their families. And he said, nope, we're going to practice, and we're going to practice hard. And he ran them into the ground on a Christmas Eve that they all say ruined Christmas for all. They could barely walk after this practice. I don't know how you would have accepted that. Probably not very well.
Well, we practice, Skip, we practice on Christmas Eve. Hell, we practice on Christmas Day.
Okay.
But football, Skip, football's different. You know how coaches talk to the players in football. You've been around it for 40 years.
No, I got it. But there was one player, backup big man named Larry Sanders, and the Giannis book goes into glorious details about Jason calling him a piece of you-know-what and a terrible player and running him into the ground. And they're quoting Brandon Knight, who's still playing in the Summer League as we speak, about how he'd never seen anything like that before and he hadn't seen anything like it since Jason Kidd. And yet...
So is that why he's in the Summer League? Because Jason Kidd ruined it?
That's a fair point. Even Giannis talks about one incident where Jason accused Giannis of blowing a defensive assignment, and Giannis said, no, it wasn't my fault, it was his fault. And after they reviewed the game film at halftime, he was exonerated. It wasn't Giannis's fault. And Jason Kidd was still so mad at him, he benched him for the entire second half. Now, to your point, Jason says, I've learned my lessons. The building has to be fun. Well, those teams weren't terrible. They didn't just completely quit on Jason because they made the playoffs 2 of the first 3 years. It was decent. It was good. And then Giannis credits Jason for, quote unquote, pushing him hard. That made him a better player. And he also started using Giannis a little bit at the point so he could get him more in the triple-double mode, because he said, you can pass the basketball. You know, let's make you an all-around player. You're not just a post player.
So Jason, he credit Jason for help toughening him up, making it, but then the same breath criticize it.
Well, I don't know why you would include all of this in this book. It's a little, I'm not going to say it's out of bounds. It's just, it's highly... irregular. You know, you just don't see this much. But at least he comes out of it with the positive notes. I credit him for helping.
Well, because normally, Skip, you guys write a book, it's years past. It's not so close.
I know. It's now.
Right. Jason Kidd is like, still here. So normally you get down the road a little ways before you write a book. But think about it, Skip. Guy just won a title, 2-time MVP. It might not get any harder than what it is right now.
Riding high. The iron is hot, and he struck. Okay. So now we fast forward. So Jason gets another job, and it would have been interesting. What if this had come out during the coaching search? Would Mark Cuban have paused a little bit?
But I would like to think that Cuban knows Jay Kidd's personality. He's been there.
Do you think Mark was completely aware of all that transpired in Milwaukee? Maybe.
Yeah.
I know Jason Terry, we've had Jason on the show, and he's talked a little bit about how rough Jason Kidd was. And maybe Jason, who obviously won the championship with Mark, maybe he's filled his ear with Jason.
But you have to understand, Skip, Jay Kidd came up in the 90s. He came up with that old school hard basketball.
Totally agree.
But I think Jason Kidd being around LeBron, being around Anthony Davis, having bona fide superstars and understanding how you have to talk to those guys, it's a different era. It's a different time now, Skip.
Okay.
And so the things that you said and the things that you did back then is not going to be tolerated now.
All right. So now he is coaching maybe the ultimate diva young superstar in this sport. His name is Luka. And Luka can be difficult because Carlisle and Luka clearly clash.
Yeah.
And Luka didn't like however hard Carlisle was trying to coach him because Rick is pretty old school. He came up the hard way, the tough way.
He came up in the 80s with those championship Celtics team.
Right?
Yes.
And so I think Rick learned you push a little bit and he's just going to push completely back.
Right.
Right? He thinks he knows it all because he does know a lot and he has high IQ.
Well, yeah, because think about it. Mark Cuban says, Rick Carlisle's our coach. Rick Carlisle said, no, I'm not coaching. I'm going to Indiana.
Correct. Okay? So Luka, I think, is very difficult to coach.
Yeah.
Luka will pout on the floor. He'll occasionally pout on the bench. I'm not taking anything away because he has great potential and he's realized a lot.
No, he ain't got no potential. He's showing it. Ain't no potential there. We know. We know what it is. Now, Skip.
Shoot.
Old baby Bird.
You mean maybe Bird? Yeah.
Baby.
Okay, he and his new coach will have one thing in common. Neither of them could shoot because when I was covering Jason in Dallas, I nicknamed him Asen Kid because there's no J in Jason.
But guess what? Win. Jason Kidd won.
Yep, he did win. He didn't win in Dallas, but he won.
Yeah, he won in Dallas. He won a championship with Dallas. He came back with Dirk.
No, when they came back.
When he came back with Dirk.
I'm talking about when I was covering him early.
Yeah, right. No. He was Rookie of the Year. He and Grant Hill, the only time they've been co-Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
Remember, Skip, he led that New Jersey team.
He did. They got to the final.
The Brooklyn
he was
Nets.
a winner by nature. I agree.
So listen to him.
Yeah.
You know what he's talking about.
Okay, well, he does. But do you really think Luka's going to carefully listen to him and absorb and accept everything that he tries to coach and teach? Because I don't think so.
Well, Luka, you want to win? Are you trying to win or you just want to get these numbers? Okay, I mean, because you're sensational. But at the end of the day, there have been a lot of sensational guys that didn't win, that don't get the credit that some of the guys that's less talented and less fortunate get more credit than because they won. The choice is yours. Now, you're going to, oh, man, look at those stats. But what made Larry Bird exceptional? Larry Bird won.
All I know is that Luka in 7 fourth quarters against the Clippers in the first round this year made 30-something% of his fourth quarter shots. That's horrible. So can Jason Kidd correct that? I don't know. Can you teach that?
He's going to need some help.
Yeah.
But the first thing they need to do is get rid of Porzingis.
Okay. Well, okay, so the first time around that they lost to the Clippers in the bubble, all I heard was, well, Porzingis was hurt. And now you're telling me that Porzingis was healthy, but he was a liability.
Well, he was pouting. I mean, you read the stories. He pouting. He don't like Luka getting all the shine. He want to shoot.
Well, he didn't get to shoot. His shots fell off by 6 from the regular season to
How many did it fell by?
6 shots a game.
Should have fell by 8 to 10.
Really?
Yeah, because he wasn't doing it with the shots that he did have.
He literally got sent to the corner because he would just go stand in the corner and say, tell me when this possession is over and I'll go down there and try to play
we had to put Boban in there.
Yeah.
We had to put Big Bobby in there.
Oh, so they became a we for you.
They had to put Bobby in there because Porzingis out there 7-3. And he act like he Dame Lillard.
I wonder if Jason could be the difference in getting a 2-0 lead and a 30-11 lead on a Friday night game 3 at home. Maybe Jason Kidd can show them how to close that deal.
Well, I want to know who had that 3-1 lead. Against the Nuggets. And up 19, 16, and 12.
Okay.
Who did that?
Well, they had a different coach this time.
Oh, that was the coach.
Well, they did have a different coach, and what happened?
It died the coach.
They came from 2-0 down, and then they were 3-2 down going back to Dallas, and they came back and won it in 7. Ty Lue?
And then what happened? They let old close out Chris, 36 years old. Wash him.
Kawhi was hurt.
Washing them.
I want to move on.
Remember that old wash
Even
boy?
Shannon Sharp said if Kawhi had not been hurt, Clippers in NBA Finals. Shannon said that on television.
I don't know. You probably didn't have the old, but you remember those old wash scrubbing boys. I know you remember Skip Bayless. They had a lot of them in Oklahoma.
You know they
my
did.
grandma and my great grandma had one. So I know that's what closeout Chris did to your team.
Did it to him.
That's what he
With
did.
no Kawhi, it's pretty easy to do that.
I like the
Yeah.
visual of that.
All I had was playoff P.
Oh, yeah, Reggie